Before we can look at the network components of the Linux operating system, it will be beneficial to spend some time learning some of the basic commands in the operating system. But even before this, we shall briefly explain what Linux is. Linux is a derivative of Unix, and Unix is a networking operating system originally developed in the 1960s by Bell Laboratories. Linux has since been continually improved upon and provides a true multi-user network operating system. Since the introduction of Unix, the industry has seen numerous Unix types, often referred to as Unix. Note only the U is capital. Linux is a Unix type operating system developed by Linus Torvalds in 1991 and is referred to as being an open source operating system, meaning the code is freely available to anyone wishing to develop the product further, and because of this there are many different distributions of Linux, referred to as distros. Some of the most popular are Debian, Red Hat, SUSE, Madriva, Ubuntu and hundreds of others. The majority of Linux distros are free for anyone to download and use as they please. Although we may not find Linux used on too many home computers, it uses is widespread among computer networks and servers worldwide, so much so that Unix and Unix-type operating systems such as Linux are often described as being the backbone of the Internet. The advantage of Linux are that they are freely available source code, means that Linux is constantly undergoing improvements from thousands of programs at a time. If a bug is found, it can be worked around instantly instead of having to wait for a vendor to find and solve the problem. It has better security and the performance is being constantly improved. Linux is also less likely to be infected by viruses or spyware, as the vast majority of malicious programs are designed to target Windows-based computers. Linux can run on a wide range of hardware other than desktops and laptops. It is suitable for Apple Macs, Chromebooks, the Raspberry Pi, Android and even on some game machines such as the PS3. Whether it is an exceptionally fast cluster of supercomputers or an old 486 system, Linux can be configured to get the best out of almost any specification. This can give use to old equipment, and we could for instance use an old system to act as a file server, print server, or even configure the OS allowing them to act as a router. The stability of Linux makes it a good choice for critical servers, and when configured properly, Linux can function continually until hardware failure of the system shut down. Linux also has excellent network tools that allows it to seamlessly integrate with other operating systems. This is just a few reasons why the use of Linux in computer networks is incredibly popular. Linux is primarily designed to be used from the command line interface or terminal. The GUI, graphical user interface, sits on top of this, much like the early days of Windows, when Windows GUI was designed to be a graphical means of managing a DOS-based system. Because of this, the Linux file system is optimized to allow easy administration from the command line. Windows users will be familiar with the drive letter systems employed by Microsoft, for instance C as the main hard drive, A as the floppy drive, and further drives represented by drive letters. Linux uses a tree-like hierarchical file structure. The structure allows repeated information using a parent-child relationship. Each parent can have many children, but each child only has one parent. As an example, the parent of fruit is foodstuff. In fact, foodstuff has 3 children. Fruit is the parent of 3 children, and so on. This can sometimes be a difficult concept for Windows-only users to grasp. The first thing we must be aware of is that a Windows folder is the same as the Linux directory. At the top of the hierarchical tree is the root directory, and everything else is considered to be a file or directory, whether it is a hard drive, optical drive, or a partition. Although Linux can be used as a perfect viable client operating system, we shall start by looking at the server version of Ubuntu Linux. Due to the nature of the server being a computer that solely exists to provide resources to the network, administrators often take the view that the graphical user interface, like the Microsoft Windows environment, is simply a waste of processing power. Because of this, Most Unix Linux servers operating systems do not come equipped with a GUI installed as default. Any operations can be performed via the command line interface. After completing the installation of the Ubuntu server, you should allow the system to boot into the server operating system.